14,049. True education, deeply rooted in Taekwondo.
Our time right now is too short to talk about the entirety of training, so we must unpack this as we continue our research. To put it briefly, when children grow up, this training is originally meant to start from an early age. Because we are Hongik Ingan widely benefiting humanity, we need to train from childhood, which is why Taekwondo is expanding its foundation today. However, while we instill Taekwondo into young children and make them exercise, we are failing to encompass what truly needs to be contained within this training. What is that? Etiquette education must be included. Martial arts are inherently meant to include education, and the primary stage of that is etiquette education. For young children, we must train them by imbuing etiquette education. And etiquette is exactly the same for anyone in humanity. There is nothing different about it. We must extract the true essence of what etiquette is and contain it within the training. Then, when they become adolescents, what should we include from that point onward? We must incorporate character education. To put character education simply, what is it? It is social education. We receive education to live correctly in society. If we fail to live correctly in society, a rough and difficult path will lie ahead in our lives. Therefore, the education on how to live correctly is what we call social character education. It is not knowledge. There is no character education within knowledge. Knowledge consists of what was created by building up logic throughout our evolutionary period, so character education does not exist within it, even if we used to establish discipline within our daily lives to live by. Such things exist within knowledge. The discipline we used to establish to live within our families and society is what is contained within knowledge. Therefore, today, when we are born as Hongik Ingan and are growing the global village, we must provide character education that aligns with the order of nature. But we have failed to discover it. That is exactly what I am teaching right now. I am providing this education by unraveling everything, how Hongik Ingan should live, and what happens when they live a certain way. This is Hongik Ingan education. Thus, for martial artists to become social leaders, they must receive character education. When you receive character education, even if you only possess basic knowledge, the wisdom to blossom that knowledge will emerge. Receiving character education brings forth wisdom, whereas acquiring knowledge makes you smart. Because character education has not emerged in this society yet, the Yungbuk family members here are receiving character education and Hongik Ingan education. That is why, even when practicing Taekwondo, our Taekwondo spirit comes alive. This is what sets it apart. If character education is not integrated, no matter how much you train, it is useless. You will only boast about your strength, eventually turn into a thug, become loud-mouthed, and constantly try not to lose to others. This is how society transforms. Therefore, when character education is established, capable people who are equipped with substance change into Hongik Ingan, who know how to bow their heads, show manners, and respect others. Consequently, if education is not integrated, it does not become a martial art mudo. One cannot become a person of the way doin. That is why etiquette education must absolutely be included during childhood. To supplement my explanation a bit further, what happens when children who haven't received etiquette education enter society today? They do not listen to their parents. They do not listen to the elders in society either. So, if there is an empty can, they just kick it away. These are our children today. But if we teach them etiquette education, the children become highly disciplined. Now, let's take a close look at etiquette education. It should be taught at home, right? However, the people who grew up in these homes have not become people of the way and do not know etiquette themselves, so they cannot teach it. They haven't trained. They don't know what etiquette truly is. They only know it as knowledge. So, if parents try to teach etiquette education to our children at home today, will they listen? You cannot teach etiquette education at home. They won't listen. Then, if schools teach etiquette education, will they listen? No, they won't. They don't listen to their teachers. Well then, if religions teach etiquette education, will they listen? Originally, children have no reason to go to religious institutions. Why? Because they haven't run into hardships yet. It is the adults who go to religious orders. That being the case, if Hapkido teaches etiquette education, will the kids listen? No, they won't. Etiquette education is never integrated into soccer, fencing, or kendo either. But what happens when Taekwondo teaches etiquette education? It sinks right in. The effect kicks in immediately. The ones who establish order in this society are none other than these Taekwondo practitioners. When masters receive this kind of education, improve their physical health, and cultivate their minds while teaching etiquette education to children, the results are noticeable the moment the children return home from learning it that very day. They greet their parents properly as soon as they walk in. Mother, father. They greet them when they come home. They greet them when they leave. And if their shoes are messy, they straighten them up themselves. Taekwondo practitioners must teach etiquette flawlessly. If this happens, etiquette education takes place naturally. Education, by nature, must be within training. Knowledge is simply something you acquire and share at regular schools. But etiquette education and character education, this is true education, and social education is taught by people of the way. That is what makes someone a true martial artist. If we cannot teach etiquette to our children and character to our youth, then this does not enter the realm of martial arts. It merely becomes a sport or an exercise. Therefore, something that can carry and move forward with this kind of education is what we call a martial art. If character education is not contained within it, it is just the same. Without education, you only end up as a mere martial technician musulin. Therefore, if we had grown up encapsulating all of this etiquette education and character education, South Korea would have grown entirely into a nation of martial artists. South Korea is a country that could have equipped everyone with character and etiquette if our martial artists had educated the children while practicing martial arts together. We failed to do this. That is why South Korea must completely transform into a nation of martial artists. And even if it is late, we must make that effort moving forward. Why? Because we are the pioneers. If we do not make the effort, our descendants cannot follow. We are now establishing these very frameworks. So, is it that difficult for us to receive character education right now? It is not that difficult. The time has come for us to teach and share character education, but because we did not know what it was, we couldn't share it together. I am the person who has come forward to provide this character education. Thus, if we study together, we can share it with all of humanity. That is why the internet and these platforms have emerged, allowing me to teach here. Since everything has been set up in the global village so that the world can listen and study together, it is easy now. In other words, until we found this path, we had to undergo incredibly difficult training, cultivate the way through hardships, wander severely, and live our lives that way. If even just one person awakens and finds the right path, we can all awaken together. No matter how much we try, if that one person fails to awaken, we are bound to live wandering. This is how it works. Therefore, the most important aspect of Taekwondo is that Hongik Ingen character education must be integrated into it. If this does not go in, we cannot become a true martial art, nor can we become leaders of humanity. You can understand it this way.